The person you become in private is the only person you ever really become. Everything else is performance. The smile you wear at work, the confidence you project to friends, the discipline you display when someone is looking. That is not who you are. That is who you are trying to convince people you are. The real test happens when the door closes, when the lights go off, when no one will ever know whether you did the work or you did not. That moment, that choice, that is where your future is built. Subscribe if you want to understand the machinery behind your own mind, because knowing how the machine works is useless if you never pull the lever. There was a concept in psychology called the congruence principle. It is the alignment between your internal values and your external actions. When these two are aligned, you feel whole, you feel authentic, you feel like a single person moving in a single direction. When they are misaligned, you feel fractured, you feel like an imposter, you feel the quiet weight of knowing that you are performing a version of yourself that does not match the person you are when no one is watching. Most people spend their lives trying to close the gap from the outside. They work on the performance, they polish the image, they learn to smile better, speak better, appear more disciplined. But the gap remains, because the outside work never reaches the inside. The person you are in private remains unchanged, and eventually the performance cracks. The only way to close the gap is to start from the inside, to become the person in private that you have been pretending to be in public, to do the work when no one will give you credit, to take the step when no one is watching, to hold the standard when there is no consequence for letting it slip. If this resonates, hit subscribe, not because you need another channel in your feed, but because you need a reminder that who you are when no one is looking is the only version of you that matters. This is why showing up for yourself is harder than showing up for anyone else, because when no one is watching, there is no immediate reward, there is no applause, there is no recognition, there is only you and the choice feels meaningless in the moment. One workout skipped, one page not written, one morning wasted. It feels like nothing. It feels like it does not count, but it does count. It counts more than anything else. Because every time you choose not to show up for yourself, you send a message to your own brain. You send the message that your promises do not matter, that your word to yourself is worthless, that you are not someone who follows through, and your brain believes you. It adjusts its expectations downward. It lowers the bar. It stops even asking you to try. And one day you wake up and realize that you have become someone who only performs when there is an audience, someone who only works when someone is watching, someone who has trained themselves to be mediocre in private. The opposite is also true. Every time you choose to show up when no one is watching, you send the opposite message. You tell your brain that your word matters, that you are someone who follows through, that the standard exists whether there is an audience or not. And your brain believes that too. It raises the bar. It expects more. It begins to trust you. And that trust is the foundation of self-discipline. Discipline is not about forcing yourself to do hard things. Discipline is about not having to force yourself because you have already decided who you are. And that decision is made in private. It is made at 6 a.m. when the bed is warm and no one would ever know if you slept in. It is made at night when the phone is in your hand and no one would ever know if you scrolled for one more hour. It is made in the 1,000 small moments where the only witness is you. Those moments are not small. They are everything. They are the bricks of the person you are becoming, and no one sees them being laid. But one day, someone will see the building. One day, the person you have been building in private will step into public, and it will look like talent. It will look like luck. It will look like overnight success. But you will know. You will know it was built in the silence, in the moments when no one was watching, in the choices that no one ever saw. Here is what happens when you finally accept this. You stop performing for the crowd. You stop caring whether anyone sees your effort. You stop needing recognition to take the next step, because you are no longer working for the applause. You are working for the person you see in the mirror. And that person knows the truth. That person knows whether you showed up or not. That person cannot be fooled by performance. You start showing up differently, not because you have to, but because you have decided who you are. You are someone who writes even when no one will read it, someone who trains even when no one will see the result, someone who studies even when there is no test, someone who holds the standard even when the standard is invisible to everyone else. And something shifts, the gap closes. The person you are in private and the person you appear to be in public begin to match. The performance disappears, not because you stopped caring, but because there is no longer a difference between the performance and the truth. You are the same person in both places, and that congruence, that alignment, that wholeness is the most underrated form of power. The world will reward the performance, it will applaud the show, but the performance is fragile, it crumbles under pressure. What does not crumble is the person built in private, the person who showed up when no one was watching, the person who kept their word to themselves. That person is unshakable. That person does not need the crowd. That person is the crowd. You have spent enough time performing. You have spent enough energy convincing people you are someone you are not yet sure you have become. The exhaustion you feel is not from doing the work. It is from pretending you have done the work while knowing you have not. Today, choose one thing you have been performing at, one area where you show up for others but not for yourself, and close the door. Do it when no one is watching. Do it without posting about it. Do it without telling anyone. Do it just for the person you see in the mirror. Do it because that person deserves to know that their own word means something. The private work is invisible. It is unglamorous. It is thankless. But it is the only work that lasts. Everything else is smoke. The person you become in private is the only person you ever really become. If you are ready to stop performing and start becoming, subscribe. Every week we explore not just how the mind works, but how to make it work for you. Not the performance, the person behind it. Thank you for listening. I will see you in the next one.